Next on Race Day. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mark Allen in for Pat Patterson, and it's off to Road America first, where Al Unser Jr. didn't have to do much work today to win the IndyCar title. He still made a decent show of it, as Brian Baxter reports.
On the long road course at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, it was the Penske team's Paul Tracy on the pole in a record qualifying time as the green flag dropped. Tracy moved out to the early lead with Jacques Villeneuve and Al Unser Jr. chasing hard on the 4-mile, 14-turn Road America course. Tire problems were prevalent as Michael Andretti lost a rear tire early. Then Alessandro Zampedre dropped out of the race in a precarious position, bringing out a full-course yellow. From the restart, Tracy continued to extend his lead. The only real accident of the day came as Arie Luyendyk lost control of his car and spun on the track. Several cars narrowly missed Luyendyk, with Christian Danner even driving out onto the grass to make it safely past. That brought another full-course yellow and a surprise on the restart. Jacques Villeneuve moved to the inside and got past Paul Tracy to take the lead. Al Unser Jr. stayed back as Tracy and Villeneuve battled, and then Villeneuve held on. Tracy's engine so strong early failed with just a few laps to go, putting Al Unser Jr. in contact with the leader. But with a PPG championship on the line, little Al held his position, and Jacques Villeneuve sailed home to take his first career IndyCar win.
Well, Paul started too early and got slowed down by the pace car, and then I had a great tow. And there was just a little bit of room to the inside, so I went for it, locked the wheels, then I was hit from behind, and I just fought for it, and it worked.
With a second-place finish, Al Unser Jr. locked up the 1994 PPG IndyCar Championship for the Penske team.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. The whole team, the Marlboro team, Penske, did a great job. I owe everything to them. I mean, you know, we got out there and we just did our best and stayed out of trouble, and you know, it's the whole team Penske that really did it, and I thank them.
For little Al, it was his second season championship and the first for a Penske team since 1988. Third place at Elkhart Lake went to Emerson Fittipaldi. I'm Brian Baxter reporting.
And our congratulations to Jacques Villeneuve, as well as the first Penske driver to win the title since 1988. The best late model dirt track drivers made their annual pilgrimage to Eldora Speedway this weekend to earn the ultimate bragging rights in the World 100 in our Mopar Performance Report. 206 drivers started the weekend vying for 24 spots in the 100-lap feature. Steve Francis was the pole sitter and also the first car out with engine trouble. The front runners are the best in the business on dirt, and the 00 of Freddie Smith, Davey Johnson, and 21 Billy Moyer really put on a show for most of the middle laps. These guys were flat hauling around the high banks, but when it came time to play the trump card, Moyer was holding an ace and took the lead from Johnson for good on lap 64. Hard to believe that with the best in the business here, Moyer won this race for the third time in the last 4 years.
We was a little concerned, you know. I know, you know, every car that starts this race is a good car, but we just gonna, you know, take what was given to us, try to keep our nose clean, and, you know, keep the car straight, and that's what I tried to do, and it all worked out good.
Johnson and Tampa Terror Scott Bloomquist were next. Unless you've seen these guys in person, you can't believe how fast they're going. Up next, it's off to Michigan for the ASA story. Stay with us.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Mopar Chrysler Corporation Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. By Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it isn't. And by 104 Plus Octane Boost. Feel the power.
Welcome back, everybody. The AC Delco American Speed Association Challenge Series made its first visit to the Michigan International Speedway in 8 years today, but as Brian Dreber reports, the winner was somebody who was there back in 1986.
Michigan International Speedway playing host to the American Speed Association for the first time since 1986. And on the green flag, pole sitter Bob Seneker gets a move put on him on the inside by Mike Eddy. But then Bob Seneker in the number 84 Bluebird machine takes the lead back. In a remarkably incident-free day, one of the early retirees, Todd Forbes, in the 07 car, fire under the hood, and he's on the sidelines. Mike Eddy going back into the lead. He and Bob Seneker waging a seesaw battle all day long. Along with Mike Miller in the number 18 Funco Land Pontiac Motorsports entry, sat outside row 1. He led briefly. Then rookie driver Brian Reffner in the number 5 car. He qualified 4th and took the lead, but Bob Seneker goes back to the front where he seemed to belong all day long. And the blue number 84 on the pole looked like he was a runaway winner, but a caution flag with 3 laps to go tightened up the race and looked like it would give Mike Eddy a shot at victory. It was not to be. Seneca ran away to the checkered flag in the last 3 laps to the joy of his crew from the Johnsonville Sausage entry. Mike Eddy ended up 2nd ahead of Brett Bell from California. Ken Schrader was 4th. Brad Loney came home in 5th spot. Brian Drebber reporting for Group 5 Sports.
Well, somebody I'm sure who watched this event with some interest joins us now. Johnny Benson, the reigning series champion, who's cast his lot with the Busch Grand National Series this year. First of all, welcome. Let's talk about your season to date in the switchover from ASA to Busch Grand National. We were talking a little bit just before we started the show about some of the adjustments that you've had to make between the 2 cars. How about telling our audience a little bit about that?
Well, I'll tell you, the adjustment's been real tough. With the help of Steve Bird, our crew chief, the Base Motorsports team's been doing a great job for us. So they're making my job a little bit easier, but the tracks and the cars are a little bit different, and, it's been a tough year.
What about the chassis adjustments themselves? How different are the 2 cars in terms of the way you have to think to get the car working better?
Well, with the difference in the weight, the tires, and, like you say, again, the tracks, I had the ASA car pretty much down pat. We had certain areas where, we knew where to make the changes, where on the Busch Grand National cars, I haven't got that quite figured out yet. But like I say, Steve Bird and the Staff America team's been doing a great job for us.
We're now into the second half of the season. You're seeing a number of these racetracks for a second time. How can you tell that you're getting more comfortable with these tracks?
Well, when we go back to the tracks for the second time, it's making it a lot easier because, as you go through the race, you can, make adjustments that you need to make for the second time there. And, it's just been great to go back for the second time.
What goals did you set for yourself before the start of the season about where you would like to be at the end of the 1994 Busch Grand National Series season?
Well, at the start of the season, we wanted to be in the top 8 in points at least, and, maybe be a little bit higher, but yet we knew realistically, me being a rookie, that was going to be tough. Dennis Setzer's doing a great job, being up in the points where he's at. And, so we struggled a little bit, but now we seem to be on a pretty good roll right now. So, I don't think we're in 9th right now, and I think 8th is not going to be so far, to reach. So, maybe we can get a little bit higher.
4 races to go before the end of this season. Which tracks do you feel that you've got a realistic shot of winning at? Because you almost won Indianapolis back in August, and the first Rockingham race, if I remember correctly, you were running as high as 3rd at one point.
Yeah, we were. Rockingham was a good track for us, and really looking forward to going back there. Martinsville we ran pretty good, too, so we're looking forward to going there. And, it's just going to be getting there, getting a good qualifying run. This past weekend was 70 cars there at the track for qualifying. It's been, real tough getting in the field. And, so far we've been pretty fortunate to make every race.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll continue to watch your progress with a great deal of interest.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Take care. And now to NASCAR action that had some serious impact on points battles in the Goodies Dash Series and the Featherlight Southwest Tour. The 150 laps seemed longer Saturday night with all the cautions at the new Asheville Speedway. The big smash-em-up came in the second half of the feature with number 2 pointsman Larry Caudle in number 12, smack in the middle. That could have been calamitous, but points leader Ed Howe was already out with fuel pump trouble. This was number 65 Will Hobgood's race to win or lose. He took the lead for good on lap 105, and in the end it was Danny Bagwell who was closest, but still 2 seconds down. Hobgood's 4th win of the year puts him just 6 points behind Howell, who fell to 2nd in the standings. Caudle has a 45-point edge with 2 races to go. What's a definition for the word mess?
May we offer for your consideration the start of the Southwest Tour race at Saugus Speedway. Some continued, some could not. Points leader Dale Williams was out early, and number 2 points man Mike Kofer ended up faced the wrong way on lap 10 with a lot of help and could do no better than 13th. Craig Rodman had been dominating from the green flag, but when he broke, the door opened for Lance Hooper, who drove to his second career win, and the best points battle in the country is here. There are 6 drivers within 100 markers of leader Brian Germoni, who was 5th Saturday night.
And up next, 2 Nationals events from 2 different series. You won't want to miss these. Welcome back, everybody. It was called the first non-winged Nationals. It was run last night in the Hoosier State, and few who witnessed it will ever forget it.
First-time event you're likely to see about anything. Watch this from the heats. Kenny Dunlap performed some unwanted aerobatics. Now listen. The crowd salutes his impromptu thrill show and drive away. Only one problem. Dunlap was unconscious when he landed on all fours. Everything after that was out of his control. Then there's trouble everywhere in the C-Main. Cars off the track, cars turned sideways, cars upside down. Pity the poor cameraman. We're not even to the main, and how about this last lap? We've got another 26 minutes in the show, so we'll just let the pictures tell the story from here. The feature was tame by comparison, but exciting nonetheless. The number 36, driven by Dave Darland, spotted Dave Pepperak the lead for the first 5 laps before taking it away and eventually taking a $4,000 win.
But it was tough. I knew there was somebody close at all times. I couldn't actually see anybody, but I knew they was there. I could feel them. I could hear them. It wasn't easy.
The victory was Darland's 13th at Lincoln Park Speedway this year.
Okay, so it's 13 minutes left to go in the show. My math's always been a little bad. The 5-day IMCA Super Nationals just wrapped up last night in Iowa, and Dave Reef has our report.
It was a super Saturday for the finals of the IMCA Super Nationals at the Boone Speedway. More than 400 cars competing in 5 fast features. It all begins with the Boys of Summer, the Deary Brothers Summer Series for the late models. The man and motor on the move, Davenport, Iowa's Gary Webb in the car 56, passing race leader Jeff Akey on a restart with just 4 laps left. From there, Gary's great as Webb gets the 50-lap win. In the IMCA Street Stock feature, hometown hero Scott Wilbur in car 67 was at the right place at the right time. Second, when race leader Keith Schmitz in the 25 spins. The rest of the race was a Wilbur runaway, bringing home the 20-lap feature first. The IMCA Sprint feature rolled out next, and the Winged Warrior winding it up, letting it go was Sioux Falls, South Dakota's Gary Zederich, sprinting the 20 car to the 15-lap win. Next up, IMCA Stock Cars, where the 12 car of Mark Elliott had it hooked up until the 35 car of Wayne Crimmins dropped the plow. And from there, the 4 Dodge driver brings it home in the Field of Dreams. The night wrapped up with the Keith Knack Memorial Modified Main. 33 cars, 3 abreast off turn 4. Mark Noble of Blooming Prairie, Minnesota set the race pace in the car 74, a pace that no one else could match, as Noble picks him up and puts him down 40 laps, green, white, and checkered.
It's prestigious, you know, it's the Daytona 500 of the modifieds, and there's bigger money races, but it's still a good money race, and when there's this many cars and you can come out top, I mean, it's just a proud moment for me.
A moment Keith Knack would be proud of as well. Reporting for RaceDay, I'm Dave Reef.
Looked like a great show. And way out west, the Score Series ran the Gold Coast 300, where Jerry Garrett was on hand and has this report.
The Gold Coast 300 was the next to last race of the season for desert racers. Besides the usual battle with the elements, this race featured some very close competition for the victory. That was Rob McCachran moving the cameraman out of the way in his pursuit of Jimmy Smith. Smith led the race until the midpoint when he and everyone else had to make a mandatory pit stop. Smith's pit stop, though, was disastrous, and it cost him the race. Both McCachran and Ivan Stewart pass Smith while he was in the pits. Smith's problem? Well, it seems that fuel would not flow from the pit tank into the race truck. That is until a breather cap was finally unplugged. Smith gave his crew a good dusting when he was finally able to leave. Meanwhile, McCachran was having a wild ride holding off Stewart for the lead. But a stiff wind kicked up so much dust in this race that passing was almost impossible, and Stewart's task was made all that much more difficult by a flat tire on the final lap, which gave McCachran just enough breathing room to score his first victory of the season. And since McCachran came into this race leading the points, he goes out leading them, and he's certainly the guy to beat as the season finale looms at the Baja 1000 in November. Reporting from the Gold Coast 300 near Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Jerry Garrett.
And Rob McCachran, I think, is also going to run that NASCAR Super Truck Series that's going to be on TNN, the NASCAR Winter Heat Series. It'll start in November. Up next, sprint car action. Don't go anywhere.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Mopar Chrysler Corporation Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. And by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers.
Welcome back, everybody. Rather than me telling you how the sprint car action's been from the last few days, let's turn Jason Young loose to fill you in.
There was a couple of nights of World of Outlaws action out in California. The first night was an all-out war between Jack Hottenshield in the 22 and Dave Blaney in the Vivron number 10. Then Steve Kinzer got into the action trying to chase Blaney, who was taking his turn on the point. The King couldn't quite catch Blaney, but maybe a yellow would help him out. That's Lee Brewer Jr. going around on lap 28. But then Jason Lund went for a rough ride down the front stretch. He was okay. Once the green flag flew again, Blaney was all alone out front and took the win. Stevie Smith got by Kinzer for the second spot, while Greg Hodnett and Hottenshield rounded out the top 5. Last night, the World of Outlaws were at San Jose Speedway, and Steve Kinzer was on the pole and took the early lead. In fact, the King kept his number 11 in the top spot until Blaney charged to the outside on lap 27. And from there, it was all Blaney at the checkers. Kinzer was second, followed by Jeff Swindell, Sammy Swindell, and Jack Hottenshield. Now let's move east to the I-96 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri, and last night's Club All-Star main event. From the start, Brian Tyler jumped out front with Van Gurley Jr. close behind. Tyler kept the top spot for a while, but moving into challenge was Frankie Kerr in the 23. But on the backstretch, Kevin Huntley blew by both of them when he used the old pick play in traffic. Except for an occasional spin, the race was fairly uneventful after that, as Huntley stayed out front for the win. Kerr was second, followed by Dale Blaney, Tyler, and Gurley. I'm Jason Young, reporting for Race Day.
And that's Turn Jason Young Loose. Knew I could do it. And the Dirt Series has kept fans in the New England area entertained the past few weeks. Paul's Mall has the latest show.
The 45th Annual New York State Modified Championship was held Labor Day at the State Fairgrounds in Syracuse, New York. The winner of the 50-lap modified feature event would get a guaranteed 7th starting position in the Wheels 300, held annually as part of Super Dirt Week in October, also at the State Fairgrounds. The Sam Dell Pontiac Trans Am pace car led a 34-car starting field down to the green flag with Billy Decker in his yellow Wheels 91 grabbing the early lead. Syracuse is the longest and fastest racetrack that the Modifieds run on all season, with speeds approaching 140 miles per hour on this 1-mile oval. And sometimes the high speeds can translate into big crashes, like this one, which stopped the race just before the halfway point. When racing action resumed, it looked like Decker had the field covered as he opened up an advantage over second-place Toby Tobias Jr. and third-place barefoot Bob McCready. But on a late race restart, both Tobias and McCready snuck around Decker. For the rest of the race, McCready tried to chase down the car number 35, but Tobias was able to maintain a 1-second advantage over McCready right to the checkered flag. Tobias joined Eddie Marshall in becoming the only second-generation drivers ever to win the Labor Day Classic. McCready finished second with Billy Decker, Doug Hoffman, and Jack Johnson filling out the top 5. This is Paul Small reporting for Race Day.
Well, there's some great racing that missed the flight connections and some events just wrapping up now, and that's all going to come your way next Sunday morning on Race Day when Pat is back and in Dover, Delaware for the Winston Cup race that's on TNN. Now, speaking of this show's permanent host, Pat is driving a mini sprinter Saturday night at Airport Speedway in Newcastle, Delaware, where there's some real racing going on, too. If you're in the neighborhood, check it out. There's a phone number for more information. That's going to do it tonight. I'm Mark Allen in for Pat Patterson. Have a great week, and I'm going to turn Jason Young loose. So long.
Transportation provided by Cedar Ridge RV Center of Branchville, New Jersey. Call 1-800-988-4884 and find out why Cedar Ridge is the choice of champions.